There comes a moment in every life where the mirror turns from reflection to confrontation. You look into your own eyes and realize you're either building your legacy or digging your grave. There is no in-between, no neutral ground in this battlefield called life. You're either evolving or dissolving, growing or decaying, be unstoppable or be replaced. This world has no sympathy for potential without action. It doesn't reward your intentions. It doesn't care about your plans, your background, your excuses. It respects one thing only: results. The kind that shake the ground. The kind that make noise in boardrooms, leave footprints in history, and silence the doubters. And if you're not producing that kind of power, someone else is. Someone hungrier. Someone colder. Someone who has already decided they will not be stopped. That's who you're up against. Not the market, not the economy, but the version of yourself who could have been legendary, if only you didn't keep hitting snooze on your own greatness. Thomas Edison failed over 10,000 times. Henry Ford was called ignorant, sued, mocked, and bankrupted. Oprah was told she was unfit for television. Walt Disney was fired for lacking imagination. You think you're struggling? They were drowning. But here's the difference. They refused to die in the ordinary. They traded comfort for conquest. They didn't stop when the world told them no. They burned that no into fuel. And you? What are you doing with your pain? Wasting it in pity? Or forging it into power? Because make no mistake, you will be tested. You will be ignored, betrayed, laughed at, misunderstood, underpaid, overlooked. And every single time, the universe is asking you, are you building something real, or just talking about it? Belief without action is delusion, and action without belief is burnout. You need both. You need to be a storm wrapped in discipline and conviction. When you wake up every morning, you're not just rising, you're being summoned. Summoned to either step into your power or get pushed aside by someone who will. The truth is brutal, but it's clean. If you don't dominate your lane, someone else will claim it. If you don't rise, you will be replaced. If you don't fight for your vision, you'll end up working for someone else's. No one is coming to push you. There's no cavalry, no savior. It's you versus your comfort zone. You versus the noise. You versus the old version of yourself that keeps whispering, maybe later. You think that voice is your friend. It's not. It's a slow assassin, killing your future one compromise at a time. You weren't born to be liked. You were born to be legendary. But that version of you, it only awakens when you stop negotiating with weakness. Your vision will demand sacrifice, sleep, comfort, distractions, even relationships that don't grow with you. It's not cruelty. It's alignment, because the universe doesn't bless half-hearted warriors. It gives miracles to the ones who burn for their mission. So here's your wake-up call. The clock is ticking, not just on your day, but on your destiny. You don't have time to find yourself. You need to build yourself, brick by brick, with discipline as your hammer, with vision as your blueprint, and with belief as the fire that never goes out. This is the age of execution, of urgency, of unreasonable standards. You either rise above the noise or get swallowed by it. You either lead the pack or get hunted by it. You either become unstoppable or prepare to be replaced. You want freedom? Then you better get intimate with discipline, because discipline is the price you pay for power. It's not sexy. It's not loud. It doesn't post selfies. But it's the quiet force behind every empire. While most people are negotiating with their excuses, the unstoppable ones are negotiating with their future. They know the difference between a want and a non-negotiable. A want says, it would be nice. A non-negotiable says, I don't care what it costs, I will. That's how giants are made. Not in comfort, but in commitment. In the dark, lonely hours when no one is clapping. When it's just you, your doubts, and the silence, and you still move forward. Because purpose doesn't need an audience. It needs action. You've got two choices every morning. Stay loyal to the version of yourself who's tired, weak, reactive. Or stay loyal to the vision you saw when no one else believed in it but you. And if you can't hold that vision, if you can't fight for it in the drought, in the silence, in the rejection, then don't expect it to reward you when the sun rises. Everything you want is hiding behind the work you keep avoiding. Most people are addicted to the idea of greatness, but allergic to the process. They want the prize but fear the pressure. They want the crown, but not the crucifixion. Let me make it clear, you don't get greatness on clearance. You earn it in full. Paid in time, effort, rejection, and the kind of pain that teaches you what you're really made of. You will be mocked for choosing the path of excellence. They will call you obsessed, arrogant, too intense. Good. Wear it like armor, because the same people who mock your grind today will watch in awe tomorrow when the world finally claps for you. But don't grind for the applause. Grind because your soul is sick of mediocrity. Grind because the alternative is a slow death in silence. Grind because you've seen the top in your mind 1,000 times, and you know, you belong there. And yes, you will fail. You will fall flat. You will mess it up in front of people who want to see you lose. And you will rise anyway. That's what makes you unstoppable. Your power isn't in avoiding failure. It's in refusing to be owned by it. Abraham Lincoln lost 8 elections before he became president. Colonel Sanders was rejected over 1,000 times before anyone touched his recipe. They weren't lucky. They were relentless. There's a fire inside you that's been whispering for too long. Not shouting, not screaming, just quietly waiting for you to stop pretending you're okay with just enough. And you're not. You never were. Because deep down, you know the truth. You were born to break cycles. You were born to change bloodlines. You were born to create, command, lead, inspire. You were born to build something so real it outlives your body. But it will only happen if you stop living like you've got forever. The window is open, but not forever. Opportunities expire. Time evaporates. Energy fades. And if you don't seize this moment, someone else will. That vision you had, that business idea, that book, that message, it will not wait forever. It will find another host, someone more committed, more obsessed, more relentless. Ideas don't belong to the thinker. They belong to the executor. And if you won't become unstoppable, someone else will. If you won't rise, someone else will run. If you won't lead, someone else will dominate. So what are you waiting for? Permission? Validation? A sign? This is your sign. This is your moment. You either step into your next chapter with fire in your veins, or you remain a footnote in someone else's story. They told you to be realistic. They told you to slow down, be careful, play it safe. But understand this, nothing legendary ever came from safety. Greatness demands risk. It demands faith without evidence. It demands that you walk through fire with no guarantee except this. You will not quit. Most people are building their life based on fear. They make choices to avoid pain, not to pursue purpose. But you, if you are to be unstoppable, must reverse that formula. You must choose growth over comfort, clarity over chaos, faith over fear. Because life will give you whatever you're willing to settle for. And the price of settling is your potential. You think staying still is safe? Stillness is decay. Stagnation is death in disguise. That's how dreams rot, not with a bang, but with a whisper that says, maybe someday. You weren't given this vision to keep it in your head. You were given it because you're supposed to build it into reality. No matter how impossible it looks, no matter how underqualified you feel. Every great figure in history started with nothing but a vision and a refusal to bow. Martin Luther King Jr. had a dream, not a guarantee. Steve Jobs had a garage, not investors. Andrew Carnegie had a steel vision, not comfort. They were surrounded by doubt, but fueled by belief. They were underestimated, but they stayed unapologetically obsessed. And obsession is the bridge between mediocrity and mastery. It's not a weakness, it's a weapon. When you become obsessed with your purpose, you don't care about applause. You don't care about timing. You don't wait for things to be just right. You move. You adapt. You create your own momentum. You carve a path where no one believed one existed. And that's the secret most won't tell you. There is no right time. There is no perfect moment. You either create your season or die waiting for one. Every second you hesitate, someone else executes. Every minute you doubt, someone else decides. Every hour you procrastinate, someone else prepares. And one day, you'll look up and realize you were built for the throne, but you spent your life sitting in the audience. You don't need another motivational quote. You don't need another podcast episode, another book, another planner. What you need is this: a decision, a moment of total, undeniable commitment where you say, I will not be average. Not today. Not ever. Not because it's easy, but because your future family deserves it. Because your inner child still believes in it. Because your spirit, that part of you untouched by fear, doubt, and time, knows who you really are. You are not the product of your pain. You are the architect of your power. You are not here to participate. You are here to dominate. But domination doesn't come from luck. It comes from the grind you do when no one is looking. The choices you make when quitting is easier. The inner war you win when your emotions try to hijack your vision. Every time you say, I'll start tomorrow, remember. Tomorrow is not loyal to you. It's not promised. It doesn't owe you another shot. But this moment, right here, right now, this is your open door. And on the other side of that door is every version of you that could exist. The focused you, the disciplined you, the wealthy you, the wise, respected, unstoppable you. But that version doesn't come to those who dabble. It comes to those who declare war on mediocrity. Those who rise after every hit. Those who bleed for their mission and never once consider surrender. So ask yourself, are you willing to go all the way? Or are you just here to talk about it? Because this game isn't won by the talented. It's won by the ones who refuse to be replaced. There's a version of you that doesn't flinch when it gets hard. A version that doesn't back down when life throws fire. That version of you already exists, but you have to earn the right to meet them. Not with words, not with vision boards, but with sacrifice, repetition, and ruthless self-mastery. You want to know why most people fail? Because they crave validation more than progress. They want to be seen grinding instead of actually grinding. They confuse motion with movement. They're busy, but they're not building. You cannot confuse effort with execution. You can read every book on earth. But until you become the book, until your actions align with your vision, you're just pretending. That's the cancer of modern ambition. People want the image without the impact. They want the title without the transformation. But the real ones, the unstoppable ones, they build in silence. They bleed in the dark so they can shine in the light. They become so dangerous, the world has no choice but to notice. Unstoppable doesn't mean you never feel pain. It means you never give that pain permission to stop you. It means showing up on the days when motivation is gone. It means working through the fear, the doubt, the failure, and coming out stronger on the other side. Not because you feel like it, but because your destiny demands it. When Michael Jordan got cut from his high school team, he didn't cry and quit. He trained in silence. He built a monster in the shadows. So when he returned, he didn't just make the team. He rewrote the definition of greatness. That's the energy required. Not try your best, but dominate your space like no one else can. Because here's the harsh truth no one wants to say out loud. If you won't go all in, someone else will. And that someone is coming for what you think belongs to you. There's a level of work that forces the world to move. A level of effort that bends reality. A level of conviction so deep that no storm, no critic, no failure can break it. That's where you must operate from. Not 70%. Not when it's convenient. All in. Every day. Or walk away. The thing you've been dreaming about, it's not far away. It's on the other side of the discipline you keep avoiding. The habits you keep pushing off. The conversations you're scared to have. The hours you know you should be working, but aren't. Your future self is watching you right now. And they're begging you, don't waste this window. Because what's waiting for you isn't just money. It's respect, legacy, freedom, peace, pride. Not from the world, from within. To be able to look in the mirror and say, I didn't fold. I didn't fake it. I showed up for my dream every single day, no matter what it cost. That's the kind of pride most people will never feel. Because they chose the shortcut. They chose the comfort. They chose to blend in, to be liked, to be safe. Safe is the slow death of the gifted. Comfort is the enemy of greatness. And average is the graveyard where all your dreams are buried. If you let it be. So this is your line in the sand. You either rise now, or get run over. You either take what's yours, or keep watching others live your life. You're not too late. You're not too broken. You're not underqualified. You're just one brutal decision away from becoming who you were born to be. But you've got to kill the version of you that's comfortable with less. You've got to bury the story that says, it's not possible for someone like me. You've got to erase every excuse and rewrite every limit. Because at the end of your life, the only question that will matter is this. Every generation gets a few who rise from nothing and become unstoppable. A few who ignore the noise, defy the odds, rewrite the rules, and wake up the world. They are not special by birth. They are not chosen by blood. They are chosen by decision, by obsession, by the daily choice to never back down. And now it's your turn. This is your time to stop being a spectator of your own life. No more hiding. No more waiting for the right moment. No more apologizing for your ambition. No more asking permission to be powerful. The clock doesn't pause for your fear. It doesn't wait for your doubts to settle. It keeps moving, and so must you. The world you want is watching you. It's waiting to see if you'll flinch, or if you'll rise. If you'll keep blending in, or if you'll finally step into your power and become undeniable. Because here's the final truth. You can't fake this. You can't hack this. You either do the work, or you get replaced. Success does not knock politely. It crashes into those who refuse to quit. It rewards the obsessed. It honors the ones who kept building when no one believed, when no one clapped, when every voice around them said stop. They didn't stop. They couldn't. Because something inside of them burned too bright to ignore. That fire is inside you too. And I know the world tried to put it out. People tried to shrink you. Your past tried to shame you. Your failures tried to define you. But you are not your wounds. You are not your detours. You are what you choose to become next. And if you're still breathing, you're still in the fight. So stop waiting to feel ready. Stop asking the world to believe in you. You don't need more time. You need more truth. And the truth is this. The battlefield of greatness is not crowded. Not because it's exclusive, but because most people surrender before they ever find out who they could have been. Don't be most people. Be the one who kept going. Be the one who built something eternal from nothing. Be the one who broke the cycle. Be the one who refused to be ordinary. Your name can either be forgotten, or it can become a standard. That choice is yours. But you must choose now. Not tomorrow. Not when it's convenient. Not when you feel like it. Now. Right now. Because this is your window. This is your shot. And you won't get this moment again. So rise. Rise with fire. Rise with hunger. Rise with a heart too focused to fear. Rise with a mind too trained to quit. Rise with a vision too powerful to stop. Be ruthless with your discipline. Be loyal to your mission. Be obsessed with your potential. And above all, be unstoppable. Because if you're not, you will be replaced. You were not born to fit in. You were not born to clock in, clock out, and wait for weekends to feel alive. You were not born to survive life. You were born to dominate it. But domination doesn't come from comfort. It comes from confrontation. Confronting your patterns, your habits, your past, your mindset. Facing the version of yourself that chose laziness over leadership, distraction over discipline, safety over soul. You've got to go to war with that version, daily. Because that version is the enemy. Not the economy. Not your critics. Not your circumstances. It's you versus you. You want next-level results with first-level habits. You want massive rewards with minimal effort. You want to be remembered like a giant, but you're showing up like a ghost. That is the lie that keeps people broke. That is the lie that keeps greatness buried in average lives. And that is the lie you need to kill right now. You don't get to talk like a lion and move like a sheep. You don't get to speak about abundance and still think like a victim. You don't get to claim the throne if you haven't bled for the crown. That's the code of the unstoppable. Earn it, or step aside, because the world doesn't hand out crowns, it hands out consequences. And if you don't own your time, your energy, your discipline, the world will decide your value for you. You'll be underpaid, underestimated, overlooked. Not because you weren't capable, but because you refused to demand more from yourself. You can't fake power. You can't fake hunger. You can't fake obsession. Those things bleed through. They show up in your presence. They show up in your voice. They show up in how you train, how you speak, how you execute. Especially when no one's watching. And that's the real test. What do you do when nobody's clapping? When nobody's validating you? When it's 4 a.m. and your dream feels light years away? Do you still show up? Do you still build? Do you still grind? Because that's the only way you separate yourself from the rest. Comfort is crowded. Everybody's there. Comfort is loud, it's fun, it's popular. But purpose? Purpose is lonely. Purpose is early mornings, late nights. Purpose is rejection after rejection. Until one day the world realizes, you weren't crazy, you were chosen. But before the world sees it, you have to see it first. You have to walk like it's already yours. Train like you've already arrived. Speak like your future is a done deal. Not because you're arrogant, but because your belief has matured into conviction. Conviction is louder than motivation. Conviction wakes you up before the alarm. Conviction shuts out the critics. Conviction keeps building when the plan falls apart. And it will fall apart. The strategy will break. The support will vanish. The odds will turn against you. And still you rise. Because you didn't sign up to try. You committed to conquer. This world belongs to the few who are irrational enough to believe they can change it, and disciplined enough to prove it. Let everyone else scroll. Let them waste hours watching other people live their dreams. You're too focused building your own. You're not chasing comfort, you're chasing immortality. Because true immortality is not in how long you live. It's in how deeply your presence changes lives. how boldly your work reshapes destinies, how loud your silence echoes when you're gone. That only happens when you go all in. No exit plan, no backup life, just fire, discipline, and purpose welded together in unbreakable rhythm. So one final reminder, not for the world, but for the voice in your soul that's been whispering since day one. You were not made to bow. You were made to build.